If you want to succeed at anything, there's really only two things you need to do, and one of them is not copying your competition. You can't beat Biggie if you're just trying to be Biggie. I know it sounds weird, but stick with me for this discussion on how to succeed. There are two keys to success. I think you know the first one, something you and I do all the time. What's the number one key to success?
Hard work.
Right.
Yeah.
Hard work. No one has ever succeeded. I mean, there's outliers to everything, but most people succeed through hard work. The other key to success is being true to yourself and doing what is real for you and being original. And so I posted a video the other day, and it was something that you and I did 2 weeks ago. I was doing a rap. Now, when I get my check, I pay my family's dead. I mean, every last one of them. Heavy cash, so none of them could say that I was cheap or frugal. Money so deep that Google keeps my rest at the GPS. So this is one of the comments that I got, and the person thought, obviously, that I wrote the song. So if you can read that to people.
So he says, bro, slow that down. Biggie had a deep voice. This is what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Biggie had a deep voice and slow tempo. If you're focusing on the writing and the poetry, just use your tone and ability to enunciate as your weapon.
So, one, he didn't know that the lyrics I was doing were from an established rapper, hip-hop artist, very successful. Charlie Tuna was a founding member of Jurassic 5, so he thought he was giving me critique on my stuff. But the thing that struck me is, in his comment, he said Biggie had a deep voice and focused on, the power of his voice. That's the number one problem that people run into when they're trying to succeed. Now, Biggie was one of the first very successful deep voice rappers. And if everybody that came after him said, hey, Biggie did it slow, I've got a deep voice, I should do it slow, the art form never would have evolved. Everyone would have been copying him, and you wouldn't get anything new and original. The fact that Charlie Tuna has a voice as deep or deeper than Biggie and does his rapping completely differently is what people are drawn to. Me as a voiceover artist, when I very first started, I thought I was supposed to sound like Don LaFontaine or any number of people that were successful before me. I didn't start getting any work in the voiceover business until I found my own voice.
Right.
And so, this works in any aspect of life. If you want to succeed, you have to work hard and find what you're good at, what is original to you. Because if you're just copying or doing what other people have done, other people are going to just go to that original person. Like, even if I sounded almost just like Don LaFontaine, when I was 25 years old and I was trying to get into movie trailers, if I sounded just like him, why would people hire me when they could just hire Don LaFontaine?
So true.
He was the original. So this is my advice to anyone in any walk of life. When people hit me up and they say they want to get into YouTube or be a content creator or do voiceovers or anything, you have to bring your own voice to it. And that's why that comment just struck me as really funny. He's like, this is the way Biggie did it, so it's the way that you should do it.
Here's a question for you.
Yeah.
It's a little something I've been thinking about recently. Kind of what you're talking about, being original, being you, versus drawing inspiration from people that are your heroes, right? Like, everyone is kind of a sum of all of their inspirational, talents, right?
Yes.
Like, people that they look up to.
Yeah.
And then, it can come down to a point where people are like, oh, well, you're copying this person and that person. In your view, like, is originality kind of your mix of your inspirations, or is there something beyond that where you're like truly tapping into your personal thing?
That's an exceptionally good question and something I've pondered a lot. And if I can stick with the art form of rap and hip hop that I've been talking about a lot, that art form has built, as has all music. In cavemen, they had a couple sticks and there was like a beat going on. And then eventually, the Beatles kind of broke the mold. And then, you talk about how rap came onto the scene. And it wasn't until Rakim came out and was doing those rhymes within rhymes within rhymes. And so the art form itself continued and evolved. Mm-hmm. But everybody, so you're standing on the shoulders, whether you're a businessman doing business the way it's done today, or you're an artist of sorts, or even an athlete. You watch football these days, it's played completely differently than it was played in the past.
Right.
So again, you're building on the foundation of the field that you're trying to get into, but you have to bring your own personal touch to it.
Right.
Now, so I spent years listening to Don LaFontaine and trying to copy him, and years listening to Scott Rummel, another very successful voiceover guy, and trying to copy him. And that influenced me. Like, I wasn't listening to Edward R. Murrow, who was back this is Howard Cosell and welcome to Monday Night Football. Mm-hmm. Like, if I was copying Howard Cosell, I'd be talking like this, and these Raiders are just going to be going crazy tonight against the New England Patriots. Like, I'd never get anywhere.
But maybe if you hadn't, I guess the hypothetical is, if you hadn't started with those inspirations, would you have found your original
Probably
voice?
Not, because I had to start understanding, there's rap songs where Eminem gives credit to Rakim and the people that came before him, because you can't, there's been so much culture that's come before us, whether it's painting, sculpting, sports, singing, music. So you have to look at your foundations, but you can't pigeonhole yourself and say, well, someone in the past did it this way, so that's the way I have to do it.
Right. Yeah, it's just interesting because, some of the greatest artists in our time, in the last 100 years, Led Zeppelin is a great example, where Led Zeppelin, a lot of people don't know this, but about half their songs that they're really popular for, they just took from someone else and did a rendition of it,
I've heard that about Nirvana as well.
Yeah, Nirvana, and that Nirvana Unplugged MTV, that super famous performance. Some of the most popular songs from that were by a band called the Meat Puppets. So, and no one knows that, but all this is to say, it's like what you're saying is, you need to derive inspiration from people. You have to. There is no other way, really.
Yeah.
But when you do that, maybe there's a process of finding your original voice by ascending those inspirations.
Yeah,
right?
and it's not something, and I don't mean to pick on this one person and their one comment, but it just struck me as like, Biggie did it this way, you should do it that way. And I'm like, no, that is the wrong way of thinking about it.
Yeah, so true.
And you can break down like success in a million different ways, but whether I did it in voice acting, I've written a couple number one best-selling novels, and obviously I've gotten at least a few followers here on YouTube, and every time I had to learn the lesson of don't copy someone else, find my own original voice, because there's a lot of people writing novels, there's a lot of people making YouTube videos, there's a ton of voice actors out there, but there's only one Pete, and there's only one Brooks.
So true.
And the only way that we're going to stand out in this world is by being the one unique I am. Only way you're going to stand out.
I agree.
If you're in marketing, like I can relate this to any, if you're a car salesman, like there are tricks and tactics that work, but you're not going to be the best by doing exactly what everybody else does. You got to come up with your own flair. If you're a marketing person, if you're a social media marketer, yes, there's you and I were talking about Mondani's campaign and how they followed trends and what was hot, and that will get you in the flow and understand how to make a sale. If you're a car salesman, it'll show you how to market if you're in social media marketing. But if you want to be the best, you have to change it, do it a little bit differently. Then everybody has to catch up to you, and then you evolve again. Like people will learn from the best, and you just have to keep evolving. I made the mistake. It was amazing to me that I kept making the same mistake. I got into YouTube basically trying to copy Jamie O'Brien's channel. Yeah, it was like doing his channel, but as a blind guy.
Right.
And like, obviously it didn't work. I'm not in Hawaii. I'm not an amazing. So I was like, let me just do exactly what he does. And after a year and a half of sharing videos, and I finally started bringing my own personal flavor to it, it was like, knocked myself in the head. I'm like, I learned this with voiceovers. Why is it taking me so long to figure this out?